regular supervision on Norwegian ships was established by royal decree of the 12th of September 1975. And today consists of 9 representatives with deputies appointed for 3 years at a time. The council is made up of representatives of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the Norwegian Shipowners Association, the Norwegian Shipping and Offshore Federation, the Norwegian Shipmasters Association, the Norwegian Union of Marine Engineers, the Norwegian Mates Association, the Norwegian Seamen's Union, the Norwegian Fishermen's Association, the Association of Norwegian Fishing Vessel Owners, the Norwegian Trawler Owners Association, the Federation of Norwegian Coastal Shipping, Association of Cargo Freighters. The Secretariat is in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and is managed by a secretary appointed by the ministry. The Council is to help to coordinate the work of authorities and organizations on matters relating to the prevention of occupational injuries among the crew members of Norwegian vessels abroad and in inland waters. The Council submits statements to the authorities on questions within its terms of reference and can be assigned to draft provisions, rules and handbooks on accident prevention, organize informational activities including the distribution of films, posters, notices and brochures on accident prevention, ensure that literature and other information on accident prevention reaches the seamen and fishermen on their vessels. The Council discusses questions raised by the authorities or organizations. Matters can also be submitted to the Council by other institutions and organizations and by individuals. Every year, fires cause enormous losses. When a fire breaks out on board a ship, the consequences may be serious, both to the ship's crew and passengers, material property, and the marine environment. This video program may be used by all categories of vessels, both in domestic and foreign trade. There is general agreement that ship's crews who have been thoroughly trained in firefighting will be well equipped in case of threats and outbreaks of fire. Thus, this program will focus on the organization of and preparedness for firefighting on board. During normal operations, the ship's operations organization handles the regular operational assignments. In case of a threat or outbreak of fire, the operations organization is reorganized into a contingency preparedness organization. The release of the fire alarm initiates the reorganization of the operations organization into an emergency preparedness organization that is optimally prepared for situations that may arise in connection with a fire. A successful firefighting operation depends on fast and well-organized action, which in turn is dependent on clearly defined chains of command. The Emergency Preparedness Organization makes use of the entire crew for active fire extinguishing and to secure the area surrounding the site of the fire. The Emergency Preparedness Organization consists of master, fire leaders, and various teams, for example, technical team, auxiliary team, extinguishing team, and rescue team. Naturally, the number of teams will vary with the number of crew members on board. The master always has the supreme responsibility on board. In firefighting situations, he delegates authority down the chain of command, primarily to the chief officer and chief engineer. They take over the command at the actual site of the fire, while the master's position will normally be on the bridge. On passenger ships, several special tasks will have to be carried out in a fire situation. Consequently, the master will have to delegate authority to a number of his crew members. There may be a permanent fire leader for the entire ship, or, respectively, the chief officer or chief engineer, depending on the location of the fire. Regardless of which alternative is chosen, the authority of the person in charge of firefighting must be precisely defined and determined. As for the various teams, like extinguishing team, technical team, etc., it is important to take into consideration the number of crew members and their respective qualifications to achieve the most expedient composition of the teams. It is also important to take into consideration what personal protective equipment is available and the ship's technical extinguishing equipment. Examples of technical extinguishing equipment are fire pump and fire hoses, permanently installed systems for fire extinguishing by means of gas, fire extinguishers and systems in engine room, automatic sprinkler systems, fire detection and fire alarm systems, permanently installed fire detection and fire alarm systems, installation for lubricating oil, fuel oil and other flammable oils and fluids. An effective firefighting organization depends on carefully prepared and functional instructions. Long and detailed instructions should be avoided. General instructions are intended for the entire crew, telling the crew members how to act if they discover a fire or a threat of fire. Such instructions should include, for example, when and how to sound the alarm, how to try to extinguish the fire, personal protective equipment, general precautions, escape routes, how the crew should act when the alarm indicating activation of fixed extinguishing systems is sounded. General instructions, however, must always be adjusted to the individual vessel, depending on type of vessel, interior design and equipment. Special instructions must be prepared for the individual teams. These instructions must be more detailed and state where the teams shall meet, practical equipment, that the team shall be ready to operate in the shortest possible time, which tasks shall be carried out without special orders. In the following, we'll give some examples of this type of instructions. First extinguishing team consists of first officer, first engineer, repairman, able-bodied seaman, cabin 12, motorman, cabin 7, ordinary seaman, cabin 17. The team musters at the fire station on the weather deck, where two men immediately put on full equipment. Notify the bridge if anyone is missing. In the event of a fire in the engine room, the first engineer shall function as team leader. In the event of a fire elsewhere, the first officer shall function as team leader. If one of the two is missing, the other shall act in his place. When turning out, the team shall bring all auxiliary equipment. A fire leader gives the orders of where to attack the fire. First auxiliary team consists of bosun, first and second truck repairman, able seaman, cabin 14, ordinary seaman, cabin 15, and greaser. The team musters on the weather deck at the entrance to the engine room. The fire leader instructs the team to bring fire extinguishing equipment, shut all valves, hatches, doors, etc., and to secure the area surrounding the site of the fire and attempt to limit the fire. The master may also order this team to prepare lifeboats and rafts. Engineer on duty. In case of fire, the alarm shall be sounded immediately, and masters and chief engineers shall be consulted. The engineer on duty shall remain at his post until he is relieved and report the situation clearly and concisely, including which measures have been initiated. Relief engineer shall be ready for maneuvering, await orders, be prepared to leave the engine. Duty navigator. Collect information from the site of the fire and report to master, fire leader, engine room and radio room as required. Be ready for maneuvering and use of signals.
There's a fire alarm in the cargo hold.
Check the ship's geographic position and position in relation to other traffic. Await orders. The instructions shall also include orders as to what kind of equipment the individual shall bring. In the following, we'll give you some examples of what should be defined in a fire situation. First, one must try to locate the fire in order to determine what is burning, how much is burning, in what directions the fire may spread, the possibilities of gaining control of the fire.
We have a fire alarm now in the cargo hold, deck 3A forward. Deck 3A forward, yes?
That's correct.
Remember that the site of the fire is not necessarily where the smoke appears.
Here we can now see smoke from the forward part of the deck, port side. Be as close to dampers as possible.
If there is any doubt about the ship's crew's ability to gain control of the fire, the emergency frequency should immediately be used to broadcast the situation, or, if necessary, sound the alarm. Fast action is decisive, both when it comes to extinguishing and limiting the fire, and securing the surrounding area. In case of limited capacity, priority should be given to limiting the fire and securing the surrounding area until you get a better survey of the situation. In case of a fire in or near substances that may give off toxic gases or explode, first direct the crew to the location that is regarded as the safest place on board before organizing any fire extinguishing operation. In cooperation with the heads of the various departments, implement measures according to the following priorities. 1. Save lives. 2. Prevent damage to the natural environment. 3. Limit damage to ship and cargo. If a fire breaks out near the ship in port, and it is not absolutely certain that the fire brigade has been notified, report the fire stating the following information. Name and nationality of the ship. Name and number of key. The nature of the situation. Number of injured persons, if any. If the fire threatens the ship, a fire extinguishing operation should be organized immediately. If the fire seems to be spreading, cover all hatches, close all openings, and take precautions. Prepare for shifting. fire breaks out on board, immediately notify the fire brigade stating the above-mentioned information, even if the fire seems to be under control. Immediately organize an extinguishing operation by the crew, or attempt to keep the fire under control until help arrives.
Okay. Hold it. Good.
Try to find out whether or not anyone may have become shut in by the fire.
Rendezvous.
Consider the possibility of a search and rescue operation in the area of the fire. Shut all accessible hatches and openings to prevent the fire from spreading. In case of a danger of toxic gases or an explosion, consider complete or partial evacuation of the ship.
Captain, Chief Master.
If the ship has to be evacuated, take with you the ship's drawings, stowage plan, and cargo manifest, including any dangerous cargo manifests. If the ship has been evacuated, try to gather the crew for a roll call. You should also act in accordance with the guidelines in the reference booklet. Based on the fire leader's first report of the situation and on the location of the fire and its surroundings, the master must immediately consider the possible development of the fire and the chances of gaining control of it. If possible, he must then assume a course for the ship that brings the fire site on the lee side and permits fire ventilation and firefighting from the windward side.
I will also the course. You will have some people, right?
Okay, that's good.
Okay, Willman. Port 5. Port 5. Port 5 now, sir.
Unless the fire is completely insignificant, broadcast an urgent signal including information about the situation that has occurred and intended actions. If there is any doubt about the crew's ability to gain control of the fire, broadcast an emergency signal. If the fire implies a danger of explosion, consider whether or not the escape route is a risk. In case of an impending explosion hazard, consider whether or not the ship should be evacuated immediately, whether or not part of the crew should be evacuated, and whether or not the weather conditions permit evacuation. Or consider relocation of rafts to an escape position that provides maximum protection. If the ship is evacuated, make sure that possibilities exist of boarding it again should developments take a favorable turn. If the roll call shows that someone is missing, consider if they may have jumped, fallen, or been thrown overboard as a result of the fire. If so, broadcast an emergency signal with a request for assistance to search the area. Consider whether or not a search can be initiated from the ship. Here, too, one should act in accordance with the guidelines in the booklet. Insofar as possible, lifeboat and fire drills should reflect real situations that may be relevant on board. When a drill has been planned, one may get a better survey by splitting up the plan into a number of separate situations. For example, discovery of a fire, notification, alarm, preparations for action according to alarm instructions, assessment of the situation, ordering of measures, stationing, fire extinguishing efforts, security measures. Result. New situation. Assessment of the situation. New measures. Finally, we must point out that alarm instructions with attachments shall be approved by the Norwegian Maritime Directorate. Like the fire instructions, the lifeboat bill is an integrated part of the alarm instructions. It contains general and special instructions. The general instructions direct themselves to everybody on board and distribute the tasks between the various groups. Here are some examples. In case of a lifeboat alarm, go straight to your lifeboat. If possible, put on or bring with you suitable clothes and footwear. Everyone must put on life jackets before the clearing of the boat begins. During drills, roll calls shall be undertaken before the clearing of the boat begins. Everyone shall wear life jackets during the entire drill. The person in charge of the clearing gives the necessary orders. In his absence, the senior officer present takes his place.
Chief engineer? Yep. Boatswain? Yep. Third engineer? Yep. Electrician? Yep.
Clearing of other life-saving appliances shall be made by order of the leader. Report any missing persons. Report to the ship's management when everything is ready.
Okay, prepare the lifeboat for launching and embarkation. Go ahead.
Examples of general instructions given to the various groups may be bosun, able seaman, cabin 12, and greaser, remove covers, undo lashings. First truck mechanic and ordinary seaman, cabin 17, clear ladder. Able seaman, cabin 14, and ordinary seaman, cabin 15, pass out lines. Second engineer and motorman, check everything in the boat. Put in plugs. Confirm orders given. When the order has been carried out, this shall be reported. When embarking the lifeboat, everyone must observe the leader's orders and instructions. The boat shall only be launched on the express orders of the master.
Okay, embark the lifeboat. Come on.
Instructions shall also exist for storage of life-saving equipment like life jackets, extra clothes, extra signaling equipment, lifeboat radio, etc. Here are a couple of examples of special instructions in connection with rescue operations. If everyone must leave the ship, the lifeboat radio under the forecastle must, if possible, be brought to the lifeboat on the port side. Remove the lashings. Make sure that the painter is securely fastened to the ship. Throw the raft overboard. Pay up the entire line and then tug it vigorously. Many types of life rafts exist. Thus, one must carefully observe the special launching procedures that apply to the individual rafts. When the alarm is sounded, the clearing of the lifeboat starts. But remember, the boats and rafts must only be launched on the express orders of the master. Fireman's equipment is personal equipment consisting of protective clothing made of a material that protects the skin against heat, burns, and scalding by steam. The surface shall be water repellent. Boots and gloves made of rubber or other material that does not conduct electricity. Fire axe. An extra belt. Approved electric safety lamp. Breathing apparatus with cylinders. A hard helmet providing satisfactory protection against blows. Fireproof rescue line with snap hook. The equipment should be stored in an easily accessible manner and always be ready for use. On tankers, gas and chemical carriers, special protective clothing is required. Sufficient time must be set aside for inspection and maintenance of firefighting equipment. Actual inspections may, to a large extent, be left to the teams that are to use the equipment. This way they become more familiar with the equipment. The supervisory authority, however, rests with the ship's management. All life-saving appliances and launching systems shall be in good working order and ready for use before the ship leaves port and during the entire voyage. Detailed instructions for the maintenance of life-saving appliances include checklist for use in connection with monthly inspections, instructions for maintenance and repairs, time schedule for regular maintenance, diagram showing lubrication points and recommended lubricants, inspection and maintenance log. The rules governing operational preparedness, maintenance and inspection are laid down in the International Convention of 1974 for the safety of life at sea. This video program does not answer all questions concerning firefighting and rescue operations. More details are given in the booklet Firefighting and Rescue Operations on Ships, issued by the Council for Labour Supervision on Norwegian Ships.